What's happening, people? So today I will be talking about plumbing interviews and interviews in general. It doesn't matter what type of trade you're in, these interview techniques are the same without, right? So I just went to an interview. I'm hot off the press. I want to tell you about it because you can see, Mr. London Plumber, you're dressed up, right? So appearance definitely does matter for interviews. I'm a tradesperson. I'm normally dressed in trades uniform or trades workman wear, yeah? But me not working right this second and working today, yeah, I need to dress up to be able to meet the expectations of the people who I'm going to see. First impressions definitely do matter. Um, Not having holes in your shoes and stuff like that, that's something which people are definitely going to look at. Um, Making sure you're well presented is because that's what they'll be looking at. They'll be looking at me as I talk to them, right? So I wanted to make sure that I dressed accordingly to the job, right? The job is somewhere nice. So I thought, why not put on a shirt? Why not put on some trousers and put on some suitable shoes for the occasion? I never used to do that before. I'll be honest with you. I used to come in my normal clothes, but I realized I'm not taking the experience as seriously as someone else, right? So let me add that element to your list of things to do. I would tell you to dress correctly for the job. I don't wear a shirt. This is just a t-shirt, right? So it's a smart t-shirt, nice smart trousers with some shoes or some preferable, depends what type of footwear you want to wear, right? But I also need to make sure I'm cleanly shaven because I know that people judge people on how you look, right? Cleanly shaven, put together nicely, and present myself well. Before I get there, I know that there's a question what loads of interviewers like to ask people. It's called tell me a little bit about yourself. Yeah. So on my way to where I'm going, I do practice my tell me about myself, what I do, how long I've been in the industry, what I plan to do, how I got into it, what work I have been doing at the moment. I think about these things so I can have them stored somewhere in my brain so I can just reel them off to them when they ask me, because they are going to ask me. So the first thing was like, people are going to look at your CV, right? They're looking at your CV, and if anybody's smart, they'll be like, look, put the CV down, just tell me about yourself. Because all of this made up on this paper could be nonsense. You just need to prove that you know what you're talking about, right? So I like to prove what I'm talking about with a little bit of my experience, where I've been working previously, what I do day to day, and what are my goals at some point. You know, if I plan to be a account manager, if I plan to be a senior engineer on the site, that's my goal at the end of the day. So I'm going into a different type of like sector when it comes to being building maintenance and service maintenance. I said to you before, I like to go for some high-end jobs. So I understand that I'm not, even though I've got experience in that field doing what I'm doing, I could still learn from other people. And I make that quite apparent from the beginning, because to go along and say that you know everything, that's not always what people want, right? People want people who are going to be a team, people who are going to play together, right? But another thing I've managed to do over the years, which is just take the time to research about the company. You know what I mean? Look and do your due diligence, which is doing your research on the company, what they do and what they do at that company, how long they've been doing it, right? So that always shows a level of interest within your next employment, right? So that is always a good thumbs up. And again, I try not to be as nervous as I can. I'm just talking to people. We're just talking about the trade, which I do normally. So it's just going to be a general conversation. Making sure that I'm trying to keep as much eye contact with the people who I'm talking to, because again, I'm sitting across them just like this and I'm just talking to them, making sure that I'm speaking correctly, giving them time to also speak, but also allowing there to be pauses in the conversation to create other conversation within that. Oh, okay, have you done this? Yeah, we've had some experience in doing this before, and then we do this as well. Oh, okay. You let someone have an understanding, because again, I don't want to be the person who's the over talker in the situation. I get it. They're here to interview me, but you are also here to be interviewed as well. I'm talking about the employer. So I always make sure that I've got 5 questions to ask. And 5 questions I find is generally enough, whether it's to do with what further education do you or are you willing to do when it comes to courses to be able to prepare your work field or your work, the people that are working here, to make them better at their job. When I hear that people have training programs in place and there's quite a few benefits, like there was a benefit to do with massages and some other things and stuff like that, like healthcare and stuff like that, private healthcare, which is quite important to me because I care about my health. And I think that coming together as a package from any type of workplace can be also really beneficial, plus your wages, obviously. But I would just like to say to people that you see the interviews, you have to remember you're interviewing them as well. And if you go there with this nonchalance, like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, it doesn't really make things, it doesn't make you really sound like you're really interested in the job, right? I've had to interview a few people and them not being ready, them not being on time, them not knowing anything about the company, it marks what people mark you down on. I don't care if they say, oh, we're not going to mark you down on them. They are going to mark you down on those. I had to check the mic was on. They are going to mark you down. So just bear these things in mind. So punctuality, how you look, how you act, how you deliver this summary of yourself, what you have been doing previously, what you can do, what you do want to move on to, what type of qualifications you have, and making sure that you're able to reel them off one by one by one, and there's not too many situations. I generally sometimes work with electricians and stuff like that, so they do like to ask me electrical questions. I'm thankful that I have an electrician friend who I definitely ask questions about. But again, I'm not an electrician by trade, but there are some things which are crossover things when it comes to electrics and it comes to plumbing. So it is definitely helpful to know them things. They ask me some things about the BMS, ask me, what would you do in these scenarios? You know, if the power was out at this point, how would you go back and find it? What you need to do at this point, they want you to explain your fault finding process. So my process, if there was a big kitchen and the powers went off in the kitchen, we would go back to the breaker and we would switch things on one by one by one by one. And that way you will work out through process of elimination what is causing the trip. The trip is the fault, right? So it might be a toaster, it might be a fridge, but it takes time to find out those types of things. So those things are very important. And those things, when you understand and you're able to relate those things to other people, they understand you know what you're doing. That's it. Again, I will always relate to people. I'm not an electrician, but I've worked with so many electricians and I should have been able to pick up on things and understand certain things for myself. But again, I'm not an electrician, but I do understand the multi-skills and the skills what people want you to have are not just your basic skills. They want to know if you could do a little bit of fabric, do a little carpentry. Have you ever fitted a lock before? Are you able to do basic painting? You know, fabric jobs, could you be able to make a decent repair? And these are the things which people want to know, are you willing to do? When you're not willing to do something like that, they know that you're not willing to be part of possibly a team where you have to chip in and do different stuff. That happens many a times. And again, having that attitude of learning and understanding, or even saying to someone, I don't understand that. That's okay, because we all do not understand every single thing that we're given in front of us. We're humans. You have to understand that. So going into every interview with some experience about the company, learn something about them, whether you read something on their website, do your due diligence and do some research. I generally ask, how long do people generally stay at this company? Because that will let the employee know that I have some type of I have some type of interest in staying, and I want to know generally how long people do stay for. So that always kind of gauge you in there. So that's one of my questions. You might have to use your own, but it's a question which I like to ask. I also like to ask about further education and what type of courses you are willing to run for your employees who work here. And then I ask the question which is to do with overtime and working hours. And generally from there, I like to just wrap it up. But you're going to get more confidence the more places you go into and have interviews and sit down and talk with people and speak about just the general things what you do. Yeah, get used to it. Don't let people make you feel uncomfortable. Try to feel as comfortable as possible when it comes to those scenarios. Yeah, remember, interview is not just for you to be interviewed, it's for you to be interviewing them. And that's what we've got to understand as tradespeople, as people who are in the trade, is that when you do go to an interview, it's for your chance to be interviewing that company about what they can offer you, but they're now going to ask what you can offer them. So it's a two-way street. Do you get it? I've found by researching about companies, by showing, I might be the only person that they see that day who is interested in researching the company or asking questions about the company. Oh, so you've been running since 1966, blah, 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 blah. They can tell that I've read the website. That's it. Again, it's just taking some acknowledgement into the time which you're spending, which is your own personal time to possibly gain a new job. So take time. Understand people judge you for your appearance. Clean shaven. That's why I went. Clean dressed. Allowing people to speak, but understanding I need to now know what I'm going to say when they say, tell me about you. Because if somebody says, tell me about you, a lot of people stutter. And that's not what you want to do. It might be because you're nervous. It happens. You could say to someone, oh, you're making me a little bit nervous. Could you give me a minute? Or could I have a glass of water for a second? Those are the things which buy you a little bit of time to be able to prepare what you're going to say. But again, it's not a script. It's just you being honest with people. And that's what I find is the easiest thing to do, is just be honest at the end of the day. Some things you don't know in an interview, it's fine. You're not there to know every single thing. But take these interviews seriously. It's your time. You can get better at interviews. You can get more sharp. Have your credentials, if they need you to show them, have them there to hand, whether they're by email or something like that, all on a file. I actually save all my references on one file, so I can just send that file to someone when they say, could I get some references from you? Yes, you can get 5 years of references, which is excessive. You only need 2, but I give them 5. So you're more than prepared, ready to go, and you just hopefully give yourself the best chance of getting a job. Again, if you don't get a job, don't be disheartened. I've not got jobs before because people told me that you're not qualified enough, but I really realized, guess what? I know you didn't read my CV. I don't try and badger them about it or anything like that. I just take it as buses. The next bus will come along and I will get on that one instead. But don't be disheartened by any interviews what you have, because sometimes you could have an interview and it not go very well, and then that same position come up a year later and you could go for that interview and you could smash it. It's happened to me, and I'll tell you that for sure. It's happened to me. I know that's happened to me because I've done that, and I became the lead of a really important site which the company was running, and a year before I had an interview with the same person, again, didn't call me back. Don't know, maybe something what I said, maybe something what I've done, but I made sure I got better at it, and I made sure that the next time I went there, I actually went onto their website and done what I told you. I told them a little bit about their properties and the stuff what we'll be looking at. So it impressed them because I know no one else done that. Again, think outside the box, people. We got to think outside the box. We're trying to impress people, but we're only trying to impress people with the skills what we do have. Again, it isn't about bamboozling people or chatting shit or waffling for like 15, 20 minutes, because someone can tell when you're waffling. Do you know what I mean? Someone can tell when you're waffling. But I do want people to watch these things because this is my own life experiences, what I'm telling you about. Like I said, I'm dressed up for an interview because I just come from one. That's the truth. So I know exactly how people feel. I know exactly how it makes you feel. I know exactly how maybe that little bit of scrutiny makes you feel like, oh, he's judging me, or is what it is. We're trying to get a job here, people. You got to do what you got to do. But make sure you like, share, and subscribe, which have helped me get jobs. Hopefully it helps someone else get a job. If it does help you get a job, I want you to leave a little comment underneath this post and make sure you like it. Subscribe to my channel, please. And I'll see you on the next one. It's interview stuff. Mr. London Plumber. What's happening, Tiki Toki?